Okay. Yeah. Wait, what? What was that? What just happened?
Hasan has just learned he is being kicked from the DNC. After multiple reports of him creating a disturbance, just a day prior, Hasan had an outburst on the floor regarding the DNC not having a Palestinian speaker, and has persistently been making a scene during the Democrats' propaganda event.
This conversation better turn around into one that specifically focuses on Benjamin Netanyahu and his disruptive attitude towards the ceasefire negotiations, or else I'm going to lose my mind.
Unbeknownst to Hasan, this action would seal his fate, causing him to be kicked out of the Democratic National Convention in front of his 60,000 live viewers. Now, while he may be acting surprised about this, everyone knows he probably shouldn't have been invited in the first place.
All right, we got the New York Times in here, chat.
Some people were surprised that the DNC gave you a credential.
I'm surprised that they did.
Why?
Because I mean, honestly, I am obviously very critical of the Democratic Party.
Okay.
Streaming right now?
Oh yeah, we are.
Yeah, we are.
We are.
Sorry.
There you go. Hey, you made it. Hey, look at that.
My goal today is just to show what the DNC looks like to people. And then I think we have some interviews potentially lined up. I got to talk to David about that.
Okay. Hey, so welcome.
It's crazy.
Hasan arrives at the DNC on the first day. This is his handler and contact for the event. Hasan is eager to figure out where he could set up his stream for the foreseeable future. But little did he know, before even arriving, he had put himself on the watch list by attending a Palestinian protest just hours before arriving. And what is the DNC's biggest fear right now? Palestinian protesters. They have already interrupted multiple speeches before Kamala could even establish her footing. So, by attending this protest, Hasan had put a target on his back before the event had even started. Regardless, he would end up securing a pretty decent location on the second day of the DNC, conducting multiple interviews and even touring the premises some more. But it seems Hasan got a little bit too comfortable and started going on expletive-filled rants about Palestine, like he was back home or something.
NBC not showing DNC, they're showing the protests right now?
Who organized that event that I called? It was Make It Great Like 68. They told people, and it was organized on social media, it was organized online, that this is...
I think they're just horny for some excitement.
And police were here organizing
That's good,
mass
though.
numbers in riot gear. They were lined up around the streets. You can see they're arresting people down this way as well. We've seen multiple people hauled away in handcuffs. But you're right. Yesterday was almost like a family friend.
Wow, it's so anti-Semitic, the protests outside the Israeli consulate.
Side, but it was largely calm until at the end it devolved into that small group tearing down the Secret Service perimeter. This has been chaotic and violent from the start, and it seemed like exactly what organizers wanted when they arranged this, when they called people to attend online. And again, like I said, we're talking 4 or 5 clashes with Chicago PD right now. They've been running through this part of Chicago trying to get away from police. They haven't been able to get. We'll show this once again, Tom, and I send it back to you.
What do you mean they wanted the violence from the start? I'm about to say things that are gonna get me banned from Twitch and also banned from the DNC if this keeps going. Oh my god, what the is this dumbass saying? You, dude.
People could see our video, and we have to look at it on a cell phone cam because it's so...
Bro, these people are so disgusting. They're such gross pieces of shit monsters, dude. Holy shit. She literally fucking said protesters are organizing specifically with violence in mind. Not to say that it's the cops that literally start the violence in every single protest. What a fucking rabid little freak this nut job is, dude.
Regardless of how you feel about that, it's not a surprise the DNC ended up having a problem with this. Think about it like this. Hasan probably has more viewers than are in that stadium. You don't think the higher-ups are monitoring his stream? Do you think they don't notice that they accidentally invited a man that is encouraging the very protesters they are desperately trying to keep away from this event? Little did he know, this was strike 2 for Hasan. Day 3 started with Hasan in a new location, poking the bear that feeds him from the very start. It seems like, with each day, he gets even more comfortable, forgetting the agenda of the location he's visiting. He essentially ended up covering Palestine and Israel the entire day, further putting a target on his back, almost seeming to test how far he could go with this. And towards the end of the night, he might have hit himself with strike 3, with this rant here.
They're chanting, bring them home.
At this moment, 109 treasured human beings are being held hostage by Hamas in Gaza. They are Christians, Jews, Muslims, Hindus, and Buddhists. On October 7th, Hirsch and his best friend Honor went to a music festival in the south of Israel. It was advertised as celebrating peace, love.
Bro, that's crazy. That's crazy that the uncommitted movement, once again, making an incredibly modest proposal to have a vetted Palestinian speaker give a vetted speech, and it's always, of course, not happening. It's falling on deaf ears. Ta-Nehisi quotes on the uncommitted movement. As of day 3 of the DNC, the Palestinian permission to narrate was still under consideration. The Democratic Party absolutely cannot maintain this apartheid structure in terms of like literally only having Israeli victims and their family members be held into question while Palestinian and pro-Palestinian people are getting beaten out. Okay, like they're literally the delegates themselves that dare bring up the Palestinian casualties get booed, they get humiliated, they get kicked aside. It is fucking ridiculous. Okay, yes, of course these people have a right to speak, and yes, of course they deserve to have their child back. Okay, I am not a fucking soulless monster. I'm not a heartless piece of shit. Okay, there is no like boo, like I can't believe she's doing this, I can't believe the Democratic Party is doing this. But the fact that after all of the commitment that the Democratic Party has given to the Israeli government to just basically absolutely eviscerate entire Palestinian families with American-made bombs, that they can't even fucking have a Palestinian person, an individual with family members come and speak in this similar fashion is disgusting to me. This conversation itself better turn around into one that specifically focuses on Benjamin Netanyahu and his disruptive attitude towards the ceasefire negotiations, or else I'm going to lose my mind.
Like, I'm not sure where Hasan thinks he is, but I could tell you this. He isn't at home screaming in his own room. He is literally at the DNC with more live viewers than attendees. Like, I understand wanting to voice your opinion with things you believe in, and good for you for doing that. But this went from voicing your opinion to essentially seeing how far you could test the DNC. I think Hasan might have a little bit too much of what I like to call entitled influencer brain. The guy thinks he could get away with anything, but day 4 is where it all catches up to him. Hasan snags an interview with the New York Times, but something tells me the New York Times had a scoop on what was about to happen, especially judging by the questions Hasan gets asked during this. Check this out, and tell me if you think this guy from the New York Times had prior knowledge.
All right, we got the New York Times in here, chat. You know, people are always, whenever I have guests on, they're like, what are you doing? There's more people in this chat than there are in this arena right now.
How many are in the chat?
53,000, 52,000.
How's that? What's your typical stream?
It depends, right? If things are like happening, I think like a lot of people tune in. It's like TV, but for Gen Z.
Yeah.
Like, the first day I have a roaming backpack as well.
Yeah.
So I roam around. First day we did that because we didn't have a space. Then I tried to communicate to the team, to the DNC, like I need a space so I can put my remote desktop set up and like be there permanently. So the second day they gave me like a part of the creator lounge where they were like, yeah, you can stream from here. But then they didn't realize like I was gonna be there the whole time. and yelling the whole time. And then there were other creators that were, you know, trying to use the space. So they were like, we'll put you somewhere else. So then they put me here yesterday. And it's worked out well. I mean, obviously there's like times when we get kicked out because like someone has to come in and shoot or use the space. But overall, it's been fine.
In the past, you've done like, didn't you do AOC at one point in the past?
Yeah. AOC is supposed to be coming on after you.
Oh, really?
Today, yeah.
Yeah, up here or somewhere else?
Hopefully, if we're still here, if we don't move, if we don't get moved, then it will be here.
I mean, people have been talking about how some people were surprised that the DNC like gave you a credential.
I'm surprised that they did.
Why?
Because I mean, honestly, I am obviously very critical of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Like I'm anti-Trump. Like that's not a secret, right?
Yeah.
I'm very anti-Trump. But I'm also very critical of the Democratic Party in general, across the board, not just this time around, but just consistently for their proximity to like Republican legislation in general, like the way that they sometimes capitulate or concede to Republican policymaking, Republican narratives. And I don't like that. I want them to be a party that fights and a party that truly represents progress in this country.
And what was that? Before or after Biden stepped out?
It was actually before.
It was before, okay.
It was before Biden stepped out. And I was definitely a lot more critical back then, too. So.
I mean, I wonder, it was approved before Biden stepped out, too, do you know?
I don't know if it was, I think it was.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the conversations happened before, but I don't know. I don't know if it was.
There's like, you know, unproven speculation that like, if they had opened up the creator window or whatever, after Biden dropped out, it would have been a whole different like group of people. Like they were a little bit, it was difficult to get people to sign up before, allegedly. And then after everyone was desperate, by then they'd already greenlighted all these people.
Oh,
so.
I didn't care. I was, you know, I wanted to come here.
Some people were surprised the DNC gave you credentials. You don't say, Mr. New York Times. Isn't it awfully interesting that Hasan has his credentials revoked just minutes after this guy says this? Hasan is currently under the impression that he only has to move because the location has been double booked. The staffer says AOC is going to be doing an interview there, not knowing that the interview is supposed to be with Hasan. So the staffer abruptly changes that story to actually it's Pete Buttigieg that might be having that interview. Well, Hasan is about to find out they aren't just having him switch locations. Take a look at this.
We don't know.
You're the person
I think we can go to meme.
So I'm one of the political directors here. I was one of the kind of figure what happened.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
All right, let's look to make sure.
Okay. Yeah. Wait, what? What was that? What just happened?
The utter shock in Hasan's face as he realized he has just been kicked out of the DNC in front of 60,000 live viewers, and is probably burning some connections as well. Now, that's rich, but in my opinion, Hasan shouldn't be surprised in the slightest. You are saying exactly what they don't want to hear, as well as going on expletive-filled rants like you're back at home in your own room. You seem to test the limits of what you could do the entire time you were here at the DNC. You can't go on these attention-seeking rants for 8 hours a day in the middle of the Democrats' propaganda event and not expect something like this to happen. Like, honestly, what happened to you should kind of be expected. Well, if you guys liked the video, hit that like button and subscribe. And if you want to watch another video, YouTube thinks you'll like this one right here.